Episode 5, Echoes of the Silent Cave. The witch, Dryas, accepted Ryan's proposal. With a gesture, the vines entangling Lauren uncoiled and slithered away. Freed, Lauren landed on the ground, breathing heavily. He looked back and forth between Ryan and Dryas with a bewildered expression. Ryan, what in the world happened? An arcane botanist, and my sword is a what? Astra. Something. Shh. I'll explain later, Ryan said, with a meaningful glance as he rode a vine back down. For now, we've agreed to a temporary truce with this lady, for the sake of this forest, and our lives. The witch revealed her name was Dryas. She was a spirit, and the guardian of the forest. According to her, this forest was an ancient place, cut off from the outside world, and the moon petal was like a heart that sustained its life force. And just as Ryan had guessed, it was true that the flower had begun to wither after the explosion a month ago. Dryas was no longer hostile, but a sharp wariness still lingered in her eye. She had agreed to follow Ryan's plan not out of trust, but out of a desperation born from having no other choice. The Silent Cave is a half-day's journey east from here, Dryas said, taking the lead. The path is treacherous and dangerous. There are other beings living here besides my children. As she said, the deeper parts of the forest exuded a far more eerie and primeval aura than before. There was nothing that could be called a path. The three of them navigated by the faint green light that Dryas emitted, climbing over the roots of giant trees and crossing murky swamps. Lauren still hadn't fully grasped the situation, but he trusted Ryan's words and followed them silently. He was secretly quite pleased that his sword was a legendary weapon. He stroked the sword at his hip again and again, seriously wondering if this ordinary steel blade, passed down through his family for generations, truly held such a grand secret. Ryan walked alongside Dryas, constantly talking to him. He tried to extract as much information as he could about the forest, the moon petal, and Dryas herself. It was a professional habit, a method of survival. The more information he had, the more cards he would have to play in the next situation. So, how long have you been guarding this forest? 1,000 years or so. Human concepts of time are meaningless to me, Dryas answered curtly. Are there other spirits in this forest besides you? Perhaps some pretty nymphs? Do not test my patience, human. Dryas was a stone wall, but Ryan didn't give up. He smoothly changed the subject and continued to try and make conversation. Though Dryas sighed as if exhausted by his relentless chatter, she found herself answering him bit by bit. It was the first time in centuries that she had held such a long conversation with an outsider. After walking for several hours, Dryas suddenly stopped and held up a hand to halt the party. Wait. Her nose twitched. I smelled blood and the scent of humans. Ryan and Lauren tensed, scanning their surroundings. From the darkness of the forest, they heard a dragging sound accompanied by low groans. A moment later, a group of figures emerged from the shadows. They were menacing-looking mercenaries, armed with leather armor and chainmail. Two of them were injured and being supported by their comrades, and the faces of all were a mixture of exhaustion and fear. The moment his eyes met the man standing at the very front, Ryan's heart sank. Broad shoulders, a jaw as hard as steel, and a scar running across one eye. It was Iron Fist Balder, the master of Velnor's mercenary guild. Found you, you little rat, Balder growled in a low voice. His eyes burned with murderous intent, directed at Ryan. Well, Elder Balder, what brings you all the way out here? Out for a stroll, are we? Ryan said with a nonchalant smile, but a cold sweat trickled down his spine. It was the worst possible situation. How had they managed to track him here? I'm here to make you pay for selling my son a fake sword and running off, Balder said, pulling a heavy battle axe from his belt. I'll rip out that clever tongue of yours and put your skull on my son's mantle. The mercenaries behind him drew their weapons in unison. Their eyes glinted like those of hungry wolves. They had gotten lost in this strange forest and had lost comrades while tracking Ryan. And their anger was at its peak. Wait. I think there's been a misunderstanding, Ryan shouted, holding up his hands. But Balder had no intention of listening. Just then, Lauren stepped in front of Ryan. I don't know what's going on, but I will not allow you to lay a hand on my comrade, he bellowed, drawing his greatsword. His simple face was filled with resolve. Balder looked Lauren up and down, and then burst into laughter. Looks like some stupid country bumpkin has gotten involved. Fine, we'll just turn you into fertilizer for this forest, along with that swindler. The situation was a powder keg ready to explode. Just as the mercenaries were closing in to attack, a cold voice echoed from the darkness. Who dares cause a disturbance in my forest? Dryas slowly walked forward. As the green light from her body illuminated the surroundings, the mercenaries, shocked by the sight of this strange being, hesitated. What is that woman? It's a witch. Balder was momentarily surprised, but quickly regained his composure and readjusted his grip on his axe. Witch or whatever, it doesn't matter. Hand over that con man, and we can avoid bloodshed. These people are now my guests, Dryas said firmly. And anyone who is rude to my guests will taste the wrath of my forest. She raised her hand, and all the surrounding trees began to writhe as if they were alive. Sharp, thorny vines erupted from the ground, menacing the mercenaries' feet. Balder's face flushed with anger. Fine, and we'll just cut you down as well. All of you, attack. With Balder's cry, the mercenaries charged forward with a roar, Lauren shouting, in the name of justice, also rushed towards them. In the depths of the forest, a chaotic battle erupted, entangling a con man, a knight, a forest spirit, and a band of mercenaries.